Hi guys, I wanted to go ahead and introduce myself first. I'm glad that you have turned in to view and learn about Actively Learn. My name is Chelsea Cody. I am the 7th grade English and language arts teacher at Sam Houston Middle School. I'm also the 8th grade volleyball coach and 7th grade basketball coach in the I3. So one of the reasons that I'm talking to you today is I'm really passionate about keeping kids engaged and active when they're reading so that they're able to comprehend and interact and connect with the text. Over here on the side, you have our moderator, who is Miss Elizabeth Ramos. She is a Spanish teacher at Brandenburg. So we're bringing a wealth of experience, different subjects, even though we are both teaching language subjects. So that's nice. In my classroom, just like all of your classrooms, if you're at the middle school level, we have one-to-one devices. We have our Chromebooks, but this application can also be accessed from a web device like on your phone, or if you wanted to use another computer. It is Chrome compatible. So if a student wants to log in at home, they can log in with Google and it connects right away to your Google Classroom, which is nice too. So I'm going to be showing you all of these features. There is a wide variety of grade levels as well. So you'll be able to see all the way down to grade 3, I think there is, and then there's a lot of different subjects as well. The focuses for this month are differentiation with digital tools, and I chose Actively Learn because it allows you to monitor student learning, and on the student side of things, there are a lot of tools that they're able to use. I highly recommend, after I go through this with you, borrowing a student's computer, using a student account so that you can go through and look at all the tools that they're able to access that I might have not be able to show you today. And they're also able to do text. We're able to edit the text, to change the text so that when they are reading it themselves, they see it differently than other students without other students knowing there's any difference. We are also trying to look at students taking an active role in choosing and achieving their goals, setting their goals. And this allows us in Actively Learn, you can have them choose different articles if they don't want to read, or I could have 2 or 3 different articles that they could choose between, and I can even upload some articles. So both of those things will be covered in what we're learning about today. You're going to be able to assess what the students are understanding as they're reading and to get a grade from that with ease. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into our article, or get into our application. It might look a little bit weird when I share my screen for a second, but don't worry. It's going to come back. Are you still seeing a crazy screen over there, Miss Elizabeth? Or are you seeing my website? Hopefully. Okay, so I'm going to hope that you guys can all see Actively Learn. I'm already signed in, so I'm going to go ahead and sign out so that you can see it from the beginning. Okay, so if you navigate to Actively Learn, it will take you right away to this website. And Miss Elizabeth, I have my phone if you need to text me on anything. When you first do this, you want to look at signing in and creating an account. You would sign up for the free educator account. When I sign up, I always use my Google account because then I don't have to remember a million different passwords. So if you click create a free account, and then here you can click sign in with Google. For me, when I click that, it's going to automatically sign me in. You can put in your name. I cannot remember how many questions this one asks, but it doesn't take more than 5 minutes to sign up. You can see right away that I have this lock over here, which you can tell on a lot of websites means I don't have the pro or a purchased account. I have a free account. And so everything I'm showing you that we're doing today, I didn't have to pay for any of this. So this is anything that you could access on your own. Right away, I want to show you how to get your classes in. And if you sign up with Google, it will sync with Google Classroom. So I'm going to show you that because I hope most people are already using Google Classroom. If you're not, check out some of the i3 webinars that are already in Performance Matters. They will help you learn some of the basics. It's really easy when you have applications like Actively Learn to pull your classes in. So over here on the left, we're going to click Classes. And right away, you can see I can import a class from Google Classroom. So if I click that button, it will ask me which class I want to import. Now, I've already imported all of my classes. What clicking import into Actively Learn would do now is to update them, which I don't want to do because one of my students was moved today, but he's going to be moving back. So I don't want to pull him out yet. But if you click import, it would update those classes. And then if I wanted to, I could click on a certain class to change anything about that class. So I could go to my roster. Right now, it looks like I don't have any assignments because at the start of our new semester, if you are already part of that pilot program, or this semester they already are syncing Skyward and Google Classroom, it created all new classes. So even though I did assignments last semester, it looks like I don't have any. Then we would have our grade book. So if students had done any activities, I would be able to see those assignments right now. Only thing that this will not let you do is export grades. All I do is if I'm putting a grade into Skyward is I'll keep this page open and I'll put it in that way. And then student data and class data, I don't have access to those, so I haven't used those. But again, hasn't caused me to miss out on anything. In the roster tab, let's say a student does switch midday and you're not able to update it from Google Classroom for some reason, you can always add a student manually on here. And you can see a lot of my students on there, they're not logged in because they have not logged in for a new assignment. The next thing I wanted to show you how to do is to actually create an assignment, because now that we have students, we can go ahead and add some assignments. Best way to do this is to click on the content. Okay, and there's a couple of things I want to show you on here. I learned something new about this year, and I've been able to use Actively Learn a couple of ways where I was able to actually import some of the articles or some of the readings that we actually already do in our classroom. So that has definitely impacted how I've used it. If I wanted to, I could just look at some of these on this main page to see if there's anything that sounds interesting to me. Okay, in our 8th grade curriculum, we read the Diary of Anne Frank, and I know in our honors classes, they are also reading a book about the Holocaust. In 6th grade, I think they're reading Number the Stars. So there's a lot of use for these Holocaust Remembrance Days. The easiest way to save something that you like, and you can tell the difference here, I have a star that is not filled in, and down here you can see I already saved that article. So I'm going to find one. Maybe I want to do something with MLK. If I click that star, it's automatically saved, and I'll show you where in just a second. If I click that, it automatically saves it for later. If I wanted to use it immediately, I can click on the article to view it, and then I can bring it to my workspace. So I'm going to go with, let's find a science article. Astronomy in space sounds interesting. You would have the units on here. Oh, if you guys haven't seen this video, it gets me every time. He squeezes the water and just stays right there on the paper towel. I think it's one of the coolest experiments. We'll go with the moon. Okay, in this article, there are already pre-assigned questions. Okay, there should be pre-assigned questions. So if I scroll down a little bit, you can see that they already have standards to this. I'm looking right now at what the students would see. If I wanted to edit anything, to take anything away or to add, if I click customize, it will let me do that. Right now, I wanted to show you a couple of things before we get to customizing. I did not do anything with this article. I purposely chose an article that I did not do anything with so I could show you. But it looks like I did, and my students think I did, because over on the right, it says Miss Cody. So it addresses me as Miss Cody. Miss Cody says, here's this comment, or when there are directions, it might say, Miss Cody would like you to, and has that there. Right now, I could click assign, use it as is, maybe it's perfect, click which class period I want it to go to, and then right away, they're able to get it. Or if I wanted to add some more questions or delete questions, I can click customize, and now I'm working in my workspace. We'll come back to this in a couple minutes too, because there's another way to get to these. I can add pre-reading questions. If I want to, I can highlight. Okay, I'm going to add an English question to this. So I'm going to insert a question. I can even choose the standard. I don't think I'm going to find one because I don't want to add a question. We're going to do a short answer. Is the name of the text feature used above this question? Now, if I wanted, I could find a star stem. I could put that star stem in here. I could even make it multiple choice. Multiple choice is easy because I can set the right answer, and then it's easy for me to grade. If I want them to come up with the answer themselves, or if I'm just trying to get some questions in here quickly, I can do short answer. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now when they're reading, they will answer that question. I could do the same thing down here. Okay. We've got some comprehension questions they've already put in. If there was something that I didn't like here, if I wanted to change how they worded it or take out part of it or make it multiple choice, I could go ahead and just edit it that way. I just clicked the 3 dots in the corner, which always means more, and then I could click edit, or if I didn't like it, I could click delete. And then once I feel like I'm done, then I can go ahead and click assign. Before I get out of this article, I want to show you our text settings, because this is one of the ways that you can modify and you can differentiate what you're giving to students. Written as is, this wouldn't be too difficult for many of our students to read, but if there's a student that struggles with dyslexia, right down here at the bottom, there are dyslexic settings. And when I click this, it already, I'll let you guys read that. Okay, students can also do this. From their computer, they can change the setting. So I don't have to be the only one to set this. I can help my students advocate for their needs. And you can see already it changed the text and the background color on that. If I wanted it to go back, I could change that. Okay, restore the defaults. Let's say maybe you're reading it, you don't think there need to be paragraph numbers. I like to keep those on because it's very star-like. You could change those. I can change the background color. You can see the color changing in the back there. I could change the font. There's not many choices, but if one of those would make you feel better, I can change the text size. They can also zoom in. You can see there's a magnifying glass. They can zoom in on their own, or if I wanted to change the spacing so it's easier to read, I can change all of those things, or I can keep it the same. I'm going to go back to our workspace so I can show you this. Back at our home page in Actively Learn, I'm going to exit out of the search. If I click right here, my workspace, I already have, now that I've been working on this, it's automatically saving it as I'm working what we were just working on. This year so far, I have used Actively Learn for 2 articles that were not in here. And I wanted to show you both of these. I don't know if you will recognize these because you might not be in 7th grade English. One that they had us read was, this is from a website, but when I was viewing the website, there were a lot of images or videos that were blocked to students that kind of were distracting. And so the students weren't able to get from the article what they wanted. And you can see even one of them made it in. It won't play, it's blocked. But all I did was import this article, and you can see it already took out, there's no advertising on the side, there aren't extra videos on the side. It even imported the picture. If I wanted, I could ask some pre-reading questions or add even more questions to this article. We were reading this article as an introduction to a scary story unit. Okay, and it's about the Lady of White Rock, which is really close to home for a lot of these students. And some of them had even heard the story before from their older, younger brothers and sisters. So that was something that was cool for them as well. And then the other one I wanted to show you is, and I felt like this is not breaking copyright. If you have issues with this and this is something you would not want to do, you definitely do not need to do this. But I have a set of the textbooks in my classroom. I just wanted to see if students would interact with this in a different way. And I was able to add questions to each page. But what I did was take the Holt textbook, which I have a copy for each student, and I added questions to the beginning and end of the page. When you import a PDF, if you're not importing, a website or an actual text, you cannot add questions to the middle. Unlike how when we were looking at the other articles, we were able to add questions to the middle. So if I came in here to try and add a question or something, all I can do is add it at the beginning or the end. There's not a lot of editing you can do if there's a PDF, but you could always find something that is not a PDF to load in there. To import, you would click this tab over here, My Imports, and you only have a limited number of imports that you can put in. So it says here that I imported Monsters on Maple Street. What I'm going to assume is Monsters on Maple Street was in the program last year, and they must have gotten rid of it for whatever reason. But because I had already assigned it to students before, I had ownership of it, quote unquote. So when I used it this year, it put it in as an import, and that's okay. Oh, this is new. You can import a video now. That's pretty cool. We'll look at the videos in a second too, or I can create a quiz. Most of the time what I do is import an internet article or upload a PDF. Let's see what it says. I know there is a limit to the number that you can do, but I have not hit that limit yet. So hopefully I don't hit that limit this year, because then I'll be done importing. And that's just part of having the free version and not the campus version or professional version or anything like that. Let's see if there's any that I'm missing here. On the student side of things, and I can't show you the student side, when they are in an article, I'm just going to click in this article. They also have tools at the top of their page. So you can see I have tools up here. These are all for editing. But the students on their side, they actually have tools, and I wanted to tell you about them. I can't show you them here, but if we logged in as a student, we'd be able to see them. They're able to read aloud the text. So what they would do on their side is they would highlight a word, and then instead of having these options, it would drop down and it would say read aloud text, and then note taking. So they can add sticky notes to the side. They can actually share those sticky notes with the entire class. So when we were reading this article, we were using it as a way to have a common text, and we were making it scarier. You could be sharing with the class. Students could highlight a word instead of legend or stories hold, or they could think of a new way to start the story. They could highlight that. They could share it with the class. You are still going to have those kids that are going to use that inappropriately, but that's part of classroom management. I could, let's say if there's a word in here I wanted to white out, and then I could add a question to it. What word could you replace in the sentence? Students also are able to translate and define the words. And then again, with that read aloud, they can adjust how fast it goes, how slow it goes, so that it fits them. And it moves by word. So when I click legend, it will track the words for me, so that I see where it's at the whole time. So sometimes I'll read as a class, and we'll have questions that they're having to ask or answer each time. Sometimes I'll have them read independently, so they're able to use the read aloud. When I assign this to my class, they are not allowed to move on until they answer the question. So when we were reading A Christmas Carol, I'm going to go to the first page. I can't remember if I did a question on the first page. I put a read aloud version that we had through A Christmas Carol already. This does read aloud to them as well, but why not give them everything? If they did not answer this first question, they were not allowed to go to the next page. When we came in for the next day, instead of making them click through all the pages or change the page number at the top, I can also, when I am reading this, send the students to that page. I can't do that right now because I don't have any assignments in for this space. But if we were in an assignment, I had assigned A Christmas Carol right here. I could click on A Christmas Carol, and I could click move students to this page. I don't want to assign it to them right now because it will send them an email notifying that I have an assignment in there for them. And that basically covers everything from Actively Learn. Since we have a little bit of time, and since you were able to see what this looks like from this side, I did want to put a plug in here if you're enjoying what Actively Learn has. Another great website, Elizabeth, this is for you, that is very similar to Actively Learn is called Common Lit. Okay, it also syncs with Google Classroom. You can create an account for educators. It's 100% free. I'm going to just go through all this so that we don't have to do that part. I always log in with Google. But they just recently added hundreds of articles that are Spanish. And if you are lower or early elementary or even higher, if you're looking over here in this library, you can see there's ones that go with books. So there's book pairings. in 7th grade, they are reading The Outsiders. There's a huge group of texts that go with The Outsiders. You can also search by genre. Okay, this is basically for ELA teachers, so I could search that way. I could also look for grade level. So I have a sister who teaches 3rd grade, and when they added 3rd grade, this is one of those things that I showed to her right away because I wanted her to be able to use this in her classroom because, again, it does all of that guided reading. It gives them all those things like read aloud, translation, definition, all those kind of things. You can do literary device. So maybe I'm trying to look for a mentor text, text sets. So if I'm looking for something like science or social studies, you can also search because they have a lot of news articles. And then theme, which that's one that I use the least. There's under theme, one of the issues that I have is the higher grade levels are able to search for things easier, but that's not anything to me. And then Spanish text. So there's a lot of, there's an autobiography. I want to say there's even some poetry. Translate this page. I think I'm good. Okay. And now I have not gone through and read any of these myself, but you can see even here in the English version, just like I was saying, 8th grade, they read The Diary of Anne Frank as a play. You could do something with this in Spanish, or if you had students who were struggling, keeping up with what you are doing in class, maybe you had some newcomers, you could do that in actual Spanish. Just like when we were in Actively Learn, how there was a star, you can add a heart, and then those will all be saved under your content. So those will come up under your content instead of you having to search for it all the time. It's not like if you click that heart that if they remove it, it'll come back, but at least it saves it to a collection. So this one I'm not going as in depth with because it's very, very similar to Actively Learn. But if you have the time ever, I would dive into either one of those because they're very user-friendly, very easy to use. They're putting new things on there every day too. I realized I forgot to tell you where to find your starred. So I'm in my workspace. You can see the ones that I've already actually edited questions on. If I go down here to starred, then that would be all the ones that I've found interesting. They now have videos on here too, which ask questions in the middle of the video. So one of the things that we do in 7th grade is we have a mini unit on the bubonic plague and infectious diseases. So that's something I've used. If you're wanting something to put into a station real easy, you could put in some of these videos similar to vocabulary or brain pop. Okay, and then shared. I have not been able to share because that's something that with the articles, you have to have the pro version, but I haven't tried it lately. Let's see if I'm able to share something. Last time I tried this, it kept me out. But if you share, you can send a copy to your colleagues and then they can use it. So I could send this to you. You can see all of these people already use this at my school. Miss Fink teaches 7th grade with me. So if I wanted, I could send this to her and then she would be able to get a copy of this to use with her students as well. I don't know, Miss Elizabeth, do we have any questions from people that are watching, or do you have any questions that I can answer? If not, maybe, okay, you guys should be able to see me now. Hopefully. Anything looking crazy over there? Got any good questions? Okay, well, what I'm going to do is go ahead and close it out. If you have any questions, you can ask Elizabeth. It's going to be open for a second because we want to make sure that you get the link in order to get credit for tonight's webinar. There is a link that Elizabeth is going to post over here on the side if she hasn't already. That will ensure that you, one, have credit for attendance, but also that you are able to get those hours for the CPE credit. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Okay, my email is in Performance Matters because I'm listed as the instructor. If there's anything that comes up that you have more questions on how Actively Learn or Common Lit work, I know we didn't go through a lot of Common Lit. Their videos on their professional development, which you could see over on the left underneath the content and above your classes. They have tons of videos, and they're very responsive. If you ever have a question about a student account or anything like that, they respond very quickly to emails. So thank you again for tuning in, and I hope this helps you guys out in your classroom some way. Keep pushing through. We're doing a great job, and we're approaching STAR season, so you got this.